up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about bass chords and how to properly utilize them. So for me, when I first started playing, chords were a huge help in bringing everything together. And it's not necessarily your job as a bass player to play those chords, but knowing where they are and being able to visualize them on the neck makes a huge difference in knowing your fretboard and in not getting lost and really being able to say, oh, this is where I am, instead of just this. In your playing, put some chords in there. It sounds awesome. And when you're like playing a bass line and you're like, sounds great. So without further delay, I'm going to be giving you guys like a comprehensive breakdown of that riff that was in the beginning of the video. So there's three main parts I want to go over. We're kind of going to do them out of order, but make sure you stick around to the end of the video for when we put it all together. So the first part that I want to go over is going to be like just that kind of after that beginning part. And that part is built around four main chords. And those chords are going to be B minor. And the shape that we're going to use is going to be root. So 7th fret on the E string with your index finger. Octave with your pinky on the D string. And then either you can play the minor third on the 7th fret of the G string with your second finger. Or if you want to, this is what I like to do, I like to bar it with my first finger. Now, bass strings are definitely a lot more difficult to bar than guitar strings, but it is doable and it is a lot more efficient once you get it down. The next chord's going to be A. So to play that, index finger on the 5th fret of the E string, pinky on the octave, and third finger or second if you want on the 6th fret of the G string. So with all of these chord shapes, you can take them and put them wherever you want. So this was an A major, right? Because the root note is going to be A. If you move it up 2 frets, it becomes a B major. If you move it up 1 fret, it becomes a C major and a C sharp major and so on. And it's good to think about the root of the chord as like if you had like a little guy that was like on the guitar neck and that is like where you were. So if I'm playing this chord, this root note here, this is where I am. And it makes it a lot easier to keep track of kind of where you are and where you're going so you don't end up getting lost. The third chord is going to be a G major. So we're just going to take that A major shape and move it down 2 frets. So starting on the 3rd fret of the E string here, that's going to be your G major. And then finally, the last chord is going to be an F sharp 7. So for the 7 chord shape, you're going to take your first finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the E string, your second finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, so you're skipping the A string, and either your 3rd or your 4th finger on the G string on the 3rd fret. So that's going to be your 7 chord shape. You can move it around like all the other shapes. So let's start with that first like kind of main line of the riff here. So you're going to start on that B minor shape, this shape here, and the whole thing is you're going to play root, chord. And I'm taking my thumb and I'm strumming kind of downward. I'm not plucking like this. I'm strumming downward and kind of pulling that E string to get the root sound. And then I'm taking these 2 fingers and I'm plucking the top part of the chord. So you have that root chord thing. And that rhythm is, so root chord, root chord, root chord, root root chord. To move between that B minor and the A, you're going to go B minor, root, chord, and then you're going to switch to that A major, root, chord, root, root, chord. Again. And then you're going to do the exact same thing with the last 2 chords, that G major and the F sharp 7. Putting together that whole first part of the line, it's going to start on that B minor, A, G, F sharp 7. Again. For the second part of this line, we're going to be playing around with some inversions. And for those of you who don't know, what an inversion is it's taking the chord, it's got the same notes in it, and putting a different chord tone in the bass. So, for example, an A minor is made up of A, C, and E. Not necessarily in that order. If you would play A, C, and E, but instead went C, E, A, that would still be an A minor, but because the C is in the bass, it would be an inversion of A minor. So we would call it A minor over C. It's still the same chord, but we're specifying that that note C is in the bass. So that second part of the line is going to be a lot like the first part of the line, where we play the chords, same rhythm, except we're going to be switching between chords in their root position and in their first inversion. So for the minor chord, you're going to start with just the B minor, like how we did before, and to switch it to its first inversion, you're going to take your second finger and put it on D on the E string on the 10th fret, first finger on B on the 9th fret of the D string, and then your pinky on the 11th fret of the G string. So that's going to be a B minor in first inversion. So the pattern is, instead of, we're going to go, so root chord, and then arpeggiate that first inversion. So one more time, B minor, and then you're going to shift over to D and arpeggiate that. And then for the two major chords, it's going to be kind of like the same thing. So we're going to start with that A. And the inversion of this A that we're going to be using is going to be an A over C sharp. So you're going to start with your third finger and put it on C sharp, 9th fret of the E string. Index finger on A on the 7th fret of the D string. And your pinky finger on the note E on the 9th fret of the G string. So that pattern we're going to be using on that A is going to be, instead of this, we're going to be doing this. So A, first inversion. So putting that together with that B minor, slow it down. So the next two chords are going to be G and F sharp 7. And for the G first inversion, we're going to be doing the exact same shape as A over C sharp, except we're going to start that shape on the 7th fret of the E string on the note B, giving us a G over B. And we're going to be arpeggiating that like the B minor as well. So G, G over B. And then finally for the F sharp 7, we're just going to use the major inversion, but we're going to put it a step down from that G over B. So it's the same shape starting on B flat. Or I guess A sharp in this case. So that whole pattern on the F sharp is going to be same thing as the A, except 3 frets down. So that whole part of the line is going to be slow it down. Now, the last thing I want to touch on before we put it all together is going to be that kind of intro part at the beginning. And this is going to be built around a couple of different chords. So I already gave you a B minor chord, but this is a shape for the E string specifically. So the first chord we're going to be using is a different B minor, starting on the 14th fret of the A string with your pinky finger. And these pinky voicings, man, I'm telling you, they're tough. They're tough. Get used to it. Strengthen up that pinky finger. There's really no shortcuts to that. It's tough at the beginning because your hands want to go flat like this. Make sure all your fingers are coming up and over the fretboard so you get a nice clean sound across all of the strings and you're not getting interference between any of them. So those 4 chords are going to be, take your pinky finger, 14th fret of the A string. You're going to take your second finger and put it on the 12th fret of the D string. And then your first finger on the 11th fret of the G string. And that's going to be a B minor chord. And then we're kind of going to like a little bit of like a line cliche between those chords. So we're going to start with this B minor. And then this finger isn't moving. Your first finger is going to stay there the entire time. And then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of switch around your third and fourth fingers. You're going to put your third finger on the 13th fret of the A string and your pinky finger on the 14th fret of the D string. And you're going to leave this first finger here. So you got that. So those two chords are going to be. And then you're going to leave your pinky and your first finger there and just move that root note down with your second finger on the 12th fret of the A string. So those three chords were. And then you're going to take your second finger off and bar that 11th fret with your first finger. So you get that root note motion that with that top note staying the same. So altogether that's. And playing these chords in the rhythm, you're just going to hit the root note again. So the whole pattern, it's a 4/16 notes. So, and you're going to do that for all of them. So all together. One more time. And then after you get to this one and you finish it, you're going to go to a major 7th chord starting on the 10th fret of the A string on the note G. So you're going to take your second finger, put it on G, first finger, a major third up on the 7th fret of the D string, and your pinky finger on the 11th fret of the G string. So we're going to embellish that chord a little bit, however, and we're going to start with a little bit of a double stop bar here. And you're going to bar the bottom 2 strings of the 9th fret and keep this finger on G. So, and we're going to keep that same pattern of play the chord and then the root again. So you're going to keep this finger barred here, and then you're going to play the note and hammer on to that 11th fret of the G string with your third finger. So. And then take the finger off and play the double stop again. So that whole part. Starting again from the beginning. The last two chords are going to be an F sharp 7 sus. So it's just your first 3 fingers played on the 9th fret of the A, D, and G strings. And then you're going to play an F sharp 7, and the F sharp 7 in this case is going to be your second finger on F sharp, your first finger on the 8th fret of the D string, and your pinky or your third finger, whatever you want to do, on the 9th fret of the G string. So giving you that nice 7 chord. So the whole beginning. And that's going to lead you right into the. So the whole thing all together nice and slow. The backing track and the tabs for this video are going to be downloadable for free in the description if you want to click the link. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you learned something, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff like this, and leave me a comment about what kinds of videos you'd like to see in the future. And thank you guys so much for watching.